Welcome to Modern Musings, conversations with the maiden, mother, and crone, where we look at ourselves and the world through the lens of the 21st century. Hi, and welcome back to Modern Musings. I'm your hostess, Cindy Murray, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Kristen Hessler and Amber Garvin.
Hello.
Hey.
And we are, if you've never joined us before, if this is your first time, we are three women who have lots of different life experiences. We're in different walks of our lives, and we like to come together and have discussions about how we perceive the world around us and how they may differ because of our life circumstances. And if you're joining us for a repeat, you've been here before, welcome back. We're glad that you've come back to join us again. Today, our topic is sitcoms. And I brought this topic to the table because I have a love-hate, mostly hate relationship with sitcoms. I find that a lot of the things that people, normal, average people find humorous offend me. I don't find them humorous at all. And so I just kind of wanted to bring that out there and for us to talk about some of our favorite sitcoms and why we like them. And then, talk about some of the things that we don't like about sitcoms. So I'm going to start out by just saying, I grew up watching things like I Dream of Jeannie and Bewitched and The Partridge Family, Brady Bunch, Hogan's Heroes,
All in the Family.
All of those things were part of my childhood growing up. And one thing that I can see in all of those is there's this theme that seems to run through them, that there was always someone who was perceived as dumb, who might not necessarily have really been dumb. Maybe they were just uneducated or like the Beverly Hillbillies grew up in the backwoods and were never exposed to certain things. And there's always someone who takes advantage of them or who makes fun of them or who abuses them in some way. And in a lot of ways, I just don't find that to be funny at all. Maybe it's the tender heart in me, but I just don't care for those mean characters or, the banker in the Beverly Hillbillies, I thought was a horrible person. And why did nobody else ever show the Beverly Hillbillies the truth of what was going on, and things like that. So I've kind of thrown that out there. I want to talk to you guys. What is your view on sitcoms, and how have they affected your feelings towards them? The things that you've watched. Do you watch them currently? I do not. But is there anything that you particularly enjoy or don't enjoy about them?
I have never really been a huge fan of sitcoms. Like, my dad loved them growing up. Seinfeld, Everybody Loves Raymond, The Simpsons. And I have just never been a fan of sitcoms. I like dramedies, or I like dark humor. I like drama shows, sci-fi shows with a little bit of funny in there. I don't like just
an
live
humor.
audience, ha 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 ha. I mean, I guess I did watch that 70s show, and that's kind of a sitcom. I mean, I liked that one, but I just never. I mean, I've never sat down and watched like a whole season. Maybe, I don't know, is Big Bang Theory considered
Yes.
a sitcom? Okay.
Yes, it is.
So maybe that's the only one.
I really think that Big Bang Theory, though, is catering to a different audience, as well as that 70s show.
Yeah.
So I feel like that one is a little bit different versus like Friends.
Yeah, so we're
Different
we're,
audience.
Yeah, totally
Okay,
different
so-
audience, I think.
So I suppose if we're gonna like lump that in there, yes, I do like Big Bang Theory.
Okay.
And yes, I did like that 70s show, but yeah, those are oh, and Third Rock from the Sun. But those were like completely different types of sitcoms, not like your average like dad and abusive wife or
Mhm.
Vice versa. Yeah.
or whatever,
Right, yeah.
you know. So I would say I don't like those formulatic sitcoms. I like the weird ones.
Okay. I can
Outside
yeah,
the box.
I can see that. I never watched any of those, so I can't comment on their merits or not. I tried to watch Friends when I was younger, and I totally could not relate to those people on that show at all.
I have
Yeah,
never saw the appeal of Friends,
Yeah,
and I know that's controversial.
I felt like they were very shallow, and
or How I Met Your Mother.
I have not
Oh my
watched
God,
that one
I love
either.
that show. That one is.
You-
I love that
Really?
one. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, yeah, I've just never like was interested, I guess. Even though I do like the people that are in the
So,
show.
and the reason why I like How I Met Your Mother is that he's starting to tell a story, and he goes back and like alliterates to stories that he told on previous episodes and like another season,
Okay.
and there's like different points of view or added jokes to it, and it's like, how did they think up to like record that and then put it in season 3? You know, if they only just briefly touched on it in season 1. And to me, like, my brain can't wrap around how they prepared themselves for that, and so it's a mystery to me, and I love like the little pockets of like flashbacks.
Definitely they have good writers if you're, they do what you're talking about. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love the character development, and I think that's where I appeal to those characters more than like Friends, because I, like you said, I couldn't relate to anybody on Friends, but I felt a little bit more like connected with
How I Met Your Mother.
How I Met Your Mother characters. Same thing with Big Bang Theory.
I
too.
see that one. I feel really connected because, like, I really think a lot of times in an intellectual way, and then I am on the spectrum as well. So it's just, it's like I get
You can see
some-
yourself
I
being
can
friends
see
with those people.
myself
Yeah.
being friend because I have friends like that. I can totally see myself being friends and being able to have a conversation. Especially and then like the girls on the show as well. Like all of the characters to me, on that show are relatable. I guess another sitcom that I just thought of that I liked, and I think that they just had their final season. It's called The Goldbergs, and the reason I
I've
like
heard of
that
that,
show is because it reminds me of my childhood.
That one's based in the 80s.
Yeah, it's
correct?
based in
Yeah.
the 80s, the kids growing up in the 80s. And it like all of the things that it talks about, I remember from my childhood. And I'm just like, oh, I remember that. And every episode's just kind of like a nostalgic.
Okay. Well, I think that's probably why that 70s show was appealing to a lot of people as well.
And
Yeah,
I would have
yeah.
totally been friends with those kids too.
Right. Well, I have never, like I said, I don't watch any of those. I think the last sitcom that I watched was probably the George Lopez show. And I did watch it, and I loved it and hated it at the same time because of the mother. And I just
George Lopez's mother, not
the mother, yes, George Lopez's character's mother on the show. I can't remember what her name was, but she was just this horrible human being who I don't even know she was just mean to him all the time. But I think it was almost bearable because he always came out on top. Even though she was always beating up on him, abusing him verbally or whatever, he was the hero of the show. Unlike some of the ones that I grew up watching where that person got, abused in whatever way, and the abuser was the one who was the winner, who came out on top or whatever. Like Married with Children.
Yeah.
That's a perfect one. They're always
right, because the dad is like glorified on that show.
Oh my gosh, he's horrible. And the mother's not any better.
Simpsons too.
Yeah, and which one?
The Simpsons.
Simpsons and Family Guy.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they're horrible to the
hard time with
daughter
Family
Meg. Family Guy, good example. They're horrible to the daughter Meg. She never wins. She's always the loser. And so those are the ones that drive me crazy. I will say another one that I've watched that I did love was Blackish. And when it came out, I was concerned about it because it was taking that Black racial format, and I was afraid they weren't going to do it well, that it would be offensive or downplay the differences in races, either upplay it so much that it wasn't watchable by people who weren't Black, or they would downplay the differences so much that it whitewashed it. And I really love that show because I learned a lot from that show because of the way they approached a lot of those racial issues. And I didn't watch it. I don't even know if it's still on or not. I quit watching somewhere around the pandemic.
And this is because all three of us don't have cable, by the way.
We don't have cable.
So we don't have much room to
we
talk
don't
about
really.
sitcoms.
and
Well,
I can
we're
barely
more
get
like of the past.
I can
guess,
barely get over
sitcoms.
the air TV, so all I do is stream nowadays. So a lot of times what I go do is watch something, streaming and just.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned that, though, because I remember growing up and watching like UPN or something like that. And I guess it was like Wednesday nights when I would go stay at my aunt's house and she had cable. And like I could watch whatever I wanted on TV, but I loved watching. And they were all piled up on one night, like all of
it's show
sitcoms.
after show after show. Of
And it was like
sitcoms.
Martin,
Usually
Moesha,
we watched
LL
those,
Cool
yeah.
J had a show, and then I remember watching the Wayans brothers. They had it was like all sitcoms, and I loved watching all of those.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I never thought that was weird at all.
No.
And
they were well done.
And I loved.
yes,
I found those
yes.
people so relatable too, like all the characters on the shows.
But-
and it's interesting because I had a friend whose father was not very open to that, and she also liked to watch those shows, and her dad always had negative comments about that.
Right.
And
it was, like I said, it's done very differently than, like the Cosby Show was a groundbreaker in that it was like one of the first all Black. Well, it wasn't the first because there were others. I remember watching, I believe it was Good Times. When I was a kid, my mother watched that. It was a spinoff of, was it All in the Family or Maude? It was a spinoff of Maude. And I remember that we watched that. And then there was, oh my gosh, my brain just went dead.
Different
We're
strokes.
moving on up to the top. The Jeffersons.
Oh.
Sorry, had to stop and think about it. So it was about a Black family that lived next door to the All in the Family, the Bunkers, and he made it rich, and they moved up to a penthouse apartment, and so those two shows, were very different. They showed Black America in very different ways. We watched those in my house though, and I liked watching those, but they're very differently portrayed than things like Blackish is. And
it's TV now is
well,
taking
I think
different
all
turns,
TV is
and
very different.
figured out
We're more
different-
open to talking
Yeah.
about some of those racial
one
issues
thing
and
that
stuff.
kind of
Yeah.
like ropes them all together though is that there's a lot of similarities. It doesn't matter if it's a Black sitcom or a white sitcom or nerdy people sitcom or a family sitcom. Is there's always the ding dong, right?
Yes, that's
There's
what I was
the
saying.
knucklehead. There's always
There's
one knucklehead.
somebody
There's
who's a
always-
knucklehead. Yeah.
There's always the girl who puts out. I can't think of any other term to call. And then there's the brains of the game. There's always the smart person that's
Right.
kind of like the leader.
Right.
And when
yeah.
you think about it, like look at the Golden Girls. There's the 4 characters in
Yes.
their
That is a
major
perfect portrayal.
archetypes, but
Right.
a
Yeah.
lot of shows have that. Like Friends, there's the 2 ding dongs, and then there's the 2 really smart ones, and then there's the other ones that cause the drama and get along, but also
yeah.
don't
Yeah.
get along.
But
It's-
yeah.
all the sitcoms are like that.
They
There's
are.
something like even
But
like
some
on the
people
Cosby
think
Show.
some people think it's funny though for the other characters
To laugh at the ding dong.
to laugh at the ding dong and see we're being just as disrespectful, and sometimes the
Big Bang Theory was like that too. Like the girl, the Penny, like the guys, especially Sheldon, were always like making fun of her in like their own way because she wasn't as smart as them.
right. And well, I say right.
Yeah.
I don't know this because I don't watch it, but it is like when I'm looking at Blackish, the middle child, the son, he was the one they always made fun of as though he's dumb, and he was far from dumb. And the one that they put in as smart, well, and there was another son, one of the twins was dumb also, and then there was a son or the twins, the daughter was the one who was smart, but she was a manipulator and a conniver, and she was kind of wicked.
Right, the brain, yeah.
She was the brainy evil one, And then the one who was the oldest daughter, who's the really beautiful, I don't know the name of the actress, but she's gorgeous, and she's gone on to do a lot of other things on her own. But she was beautiful and smart, and she was the hero, the heroine or whatever. Everything always good happened to her. And, the father and the mother of the main character were in and out of the show. They lived there. One lived in the garage and one lived in the house or something. I don't remember, but they were always there, and they were horrible people. They were horrible people, and they made fun of the kids, and they made fun of their son, and they were horrible
The
to
grandparents.
the grandparents. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they were horrible to the mother, but I don't know, sometimes they got their comeuppance, but that's the things that drive me crazy about that. I can't stand that, making fun of people, and why do we think that's funny? Why do people think that's funny? Is it, does that make us feel bigger by laughing at, is it that being the king of the hill and shoving everybody else down kind of thing,
I don't know. I do feel like sitcoms are the entertainment for the masses because that's the thing that is the popular choice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And people think, I want
You don't have to
something
think.
light.
You don't have to think.
So they think, I'm going to sit here and watch something silly that I don't have to think hard about.
Right.
It doesn't pull on my heartstrings as much.
Right.
And then they accept that it's okay to make fun of people
Right.
or,
Right.
let bad things happen to other people. And
Well, see, and for me, if I want to watch something where I don't have to think too much, I would rather watch
a movie you've seen over 1,000
times, or watch something like American Ninja or something, where I'm not having to think. I'm just watching. Even that other stupid show, I don't remember what it's called. Where
Wipeout?
Wipeout, yes. I would rather watch that.
You laugh at the people that fall
Well,
at
this
their
is true.
expense.
This is true.
Yeah.
But I also appreciate how hard what they're doing is. So, and sometimes I cheer them on, and when they fall, I'm like, oh man, so it's, I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah, I think it's food for the masses, the sitcoms, because, I mean, yes, everyone has a sitcom or two that they may enjoy to watch, and some people, maybe that's the only thing that they like to watch because they think it's lighthearted and stuff, but, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's like empty calories for your brain.
Right.
But
I think it is.
But also necessary. Sometimes it's good to have a nice laugh. One that I found recently, and I guess in the past year that I like, Call Me Cat. It's Amy Farrah Fowler, whatever her name is.
Oh, yeah.
Big Bang Theory. She is a owner of like a cat cafe where you can drink coffee and pet a cat or whatever. And her friend is a bartender at the bar next door, and there's like some love tension there, so it's kind of cute. And there's some really silly, fun, kind of like slapstick characters. Actually, one of the characters I really loved passed away, and I haven't watched it since he passed away. I forget his name, but he was the really short guy that was on American Horror Story.
Oh, okay. I know who you're talking
God,
about.
I can't think of his name. His name was Leslie Jordan.
Okay.
But he passed away. I think he had a heart attack last year on his way to work. It was really sad. So I haven't watched it since, but I really liked that one. It was just a 30-minute show. It was silly. It was cute. There wasn't anybody that was really stupid. There was just like silly characters. So,
What about Mom?
oh, with the alcoholics in recovery, I've seen like
I have not really.
I feel like I don't know their drama because I never watched like the first episode. I've only seen like a couple of parts of the episode and I don't understand what the drama is, but I feel like that one is like drama and comedy together.
I think it is, but again, it's still that same thing that they're not nice people. And I feel like in some ways they've kind of glorified.
Well, nobody's really nice. I mean, a lot of us aren't nice. We have things about us that aren't nice. So that's the reality of humankind.
But I don't know. If I just feel like in some ways it kind of glorifies because they talk about some of the terrible things they do. And sometimes they do crappy things to each other and to their friends, and I don't know. It just kind of rubs me the wrong way. The same way, like, was it 2 Men, 3.5 Men? I hate that show.
I think that's a dude show.
Oh yeah, totally a dude show.
I know lots of women who watch it though, and it just makes me crazy. And I'm like, oh, ugh, it's gross. I don't like it. I don't like it.
That's like a bunch of Blanches, but they're dudes.
Yes. But you know what? I don't know. It's they're glorified because they're dudes, and Blanche, they kind of treat her like she's tawdry. I don't know.
And she's old, so it also makes it absurd,
right,
for people who aren't old yet, because hopefully I'm half as vibrant as her when I'm her age,
right?
But watching it at like 16 years of age and you're like,
ew.
Oh my God, that woman needs to slow it down, Don't you have scrambled eggs to make for your grandkids? But that's my 16-year-old brain now. I'm like, dang, I want to be like Blanche or Rose when I'm old. I'll be like Sophia too. I'll take a combination of all of them, Dorothy.
Well, they really are, kind of a combination of people. Yeah, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Yeah. I'm trying to think. Like I say, there was so many of them that I watched as a kid too that I'm just like, ugh. I can't believe I watched that.
No, I remember like my mom really liked All in the Family.
Oh, we watched that one too, but we quit watching when they killed off Edith, though. Yeah. I loved Edith.
My grandpa really liked that show, and he used to call my dad Meathead because of the show.
Okay.
So, and that's like, another example, I guess, of abuse in sitcoms. Where
and racism. There was huge racism in that show. He was sexist.
Yeah, and he didn't treat his wife all that great either, and he definitely treated his son-in-law pretty horribly. Yeah,
and I think they tried to soften him up over the years, towards the end, but yeah, that was kind of groundbreaking TV too, still at that time, I mean, I don't think they glorified him though. They did him in a way where you knew he was the one in the wrong. They weren't trying to make him the hero of the story. He was wrong, and everyone on the show knew that he was wrong. And so, they were more open-minded. The other people on the show were more open-minded, more liberal, more not racist, and so on and so forth. He was the one that was in the wrong. So
Yeah.
But it's not always the case in a lot of them. So, yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to look back at shows that we watched when I was a kid because everything has changed so much. There was either the sweet and innocentness of TV. Like even I Dream of Jeannie was pretty innocent.
Right. Yeah.
He had a genie, but he didn't want to use the genie for any purpose, So, and then he actually married the genie. So, there's those kind of things. And then there's, Archie Bunker and the Meathead and the, things like that. But things are a lot different now because they're more open about the ugly people are a little more open about their ugliness, I think. I don't know.
You have things like Family Guy where he's constantly seeing how far he can go.
Oh, how far he can push it. Yeah.
And when I first saw that, I was like, this is the most absurd thing ever.
Right.
And after I finally was like, okay, because I didn't like Peter Griffin. He was really stupid. And
he's like Archie Bunker on steroids.
He's
really
definitely
and
like,
dumb.
Stupid. Like
dumb. Stupid.
Yeah, he would do like really dumb things. But he would always everything would always bounce back and come back and everybody would be
It's okay
fine.
for him.
Yeah. And it's just like, how are you still alive? And why would your wife want to be married to you? I couldn't ever get past that.
Right.
But then after I continued to watch it, I was like, okay, putting that character aside and ignoring the stupid slapstick, everything else to me was hilarious and thought-provoking because he would talk about things that just happened in the news, like the next episode on Sunday. It was just like, wow, that was really fast. And so then I became to
Seth
like
MacFarlane.
it. Yeah. And now going back, I go back to watch, The Simpsons. I hadn't watched that in forever. I remember The Simpsons was crossing the line on some of their jokes back in the 90s. And I'm like, wow, Simpsons is kind of boring now compared to Family Guy. My threshold went up.
Right.
On what I could tolerate.
Push the limits.
Yeah, he pushed my limit. And now, I'm accepting more things of jokes. So sitcom I Dream of Jeannie and the absurdities in that are now so tame compared to what we have today. My brain can't even fathom what the sitcom will be like 50 years from now.
Right.
Limitless, the sky's the limit. It's just like with movies. There's just it doesn't grab people's attention unless it's absurd. Honestly,
maybe. Yeah, it's just further and further out there,
it definitely and I remember, back in the 90s, if I ran across an absurd movie, I was just like, I love this. It grabbed my attention, and now it's like everything's trying to out absurd each other.
That is true. That is absolutely true. I've seen some of those movies myself, and I'm just like, why? And it is. That's exactly what it is. They're just trying to outdo the one before it, or
how weird and crazy can things get?
Yeah, I would name some, but yeah, I don't think I will. Human Centipede. No.
Oh,
that was absurd and gross.
Absurd,
yes.
But that's on the scary factor.
Yeah, that's on.
But it's gross and absurd. Yeah.
That's on a definite different level.
Different scale. If you want to talk about weird, absurd, but on the funny side, what is that movie with the puppets?
Puppet Master?
No, it was a funny movie, and it came out in like early 2000s.
Oh,
American Force or something like that.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
They're
I
Dad
like
can't
would know
remember.
that.
marionettes.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, that was
Yeah.
absurd. And then there
That's
was like
absurd.
the director's cut, which was even
Even
more
worse.
absurd.
Yeah.
And then that movie Sausage Party, like the end of that movie was absurd. Like I was in the theater like, what am I seeing on this screen? But it's animated, so it's not,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I mean, with a name like Sausage Party.
What do you expect?
What do you expect?
I know. It's Seth Rogen. I should have known better.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Seth Rogen, Seth MacFarlane.
I fall
like,
into
what do
holes
you-
and then wonder how I got there.
'Cause
My
you're
pure
not-
stupidity put me there. That's my life is that sitcom right there.
Dude, I mean,
There you go.
same. I feel the same way sometimes. Like the oddest, funniest things happen to me sometimes. You know.
Yeah. I mean, there is that.
And we all have that really mean person in our lives.
We do all
Yeah.
have that mean person in our life. Maybe
Sometimes
that's
we're
why
that
we can
person.
relate to that. Maybe we like to hate that person because we have that person in
leaves
our
it
life.
right there.
I mean,
That
We
is
like
our
to hate the
only
sitcom
way-
because it's our life. Like it's
Well, and that mother character, you know, for one thing, she was mean and hateful to her son, and I can't imagine a parent ever being mean and hateful to their children like that, like on the George Lopez show. And so I just hated her, and I always wanted her to get what's coming to her because she was such a
But it doesn't happen on a sitcom.
no,
no.
it doesn't.
You have to watch Game of Thrones for that.
For that to happen.
Yes.
Well, it doesn't even happen sometimes there. And I
No.
and don't give nothing away because I haven't seen anything past the
Same.
Red Wedding, and I haven't read past the
Same.
5th
I
book
know.
because hello, George R.R. Martin.
And here I've seen like every episode of Game of Thrones 5 times now, and so y'all need to catch up.
Well, you know,
But have you read the book though?
I've read the book.
See, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. So that reminded me of something, but I'm not going to talk. The character who plays Jon Snow got pulled over by a police officer or something. I don't remember. I saw this little article or saw this little interview he was doing, and he got pulled over or something. And the cop said something about, I won't write you a ticket if you tell me if you died. Shit, don't talk.
You know, the show's completely different than the books.
Oh, I know it is. I know
It's
it is.
like True Blood. The books are completely different
I
than
know.
the TV
and
show.
I'm like, what the heck? Because George R.R. Martin was part of the,
I know he
You
helped
know
write
what?
it. Yeah.
and I'm like, what? Okay.
Well, if we're talking about like dramas and how there's always like a great sci-fi book that goes with it, there's never any books for these sitcoms, are there?
No, it's just
They never come
comedy
from-
writers. Just
I know, but
comedy,
yeah,
like,
there's
teams.
I
that
never
write
see
these.
books that are like
they're never based on a book, and books never stem out of those ever that I know of.
when I just don't even see like that genre of fiction in general, like
A funny comedy?
Now I'm curious. I'm
Yeah.
gonna look that up. Like
because I like comedy, like I like a good laugh, and I like the movies that really make you laugh the whole time, and those are pretty rare for me. I'm not like
oh man, I love like a movie that'll make you completely
But I
laugh.
mean-
If you've never seen the movie Good Boys, oh my gosh, I laughed that whole movie. That's the last
could
movie
you
that I've
imagine
watched
yourself
that I
reading a book?
like.
that?
You know, I do enjoy sometimes like reading a book and there's a funny scene and I will laugh out loud.
Like, could you imagine yourself reading The Big Bang Theory?
Probably not.
Okay, so you said there's never books out there, but are you aware of the comedian Phyllis Diller?
Yes.
Okay. She was hilarious. She was really good. She actually had a book called The Complete Mother by Phyllis Diller. I think I have it in there, actually, and it was pretty funny. She also did some other, like, housekeeping hints and marriage manual and the
Those are
joys of
probably
aging
funny.
and how to avoid them. And some other things like that. So she did have some books. Now, were they based on a sitcom? There may have been things that were taken out of sitcoms. Some of the sitcoms may have been taken from her life. Who knows? I don't know. There's more often movies than series. So there are very often movies that are funny that are taken from books. The Christmas Story is one of them, I believe.
Oh, that is a comedy. You're right.
It's a comedy, and I believe it was taken from his life story. So I think there are some of those, but not in that comedic format. And that's not. It's not really a serial because those shows don't really run a story running through them, or they didn't used to anyway, the way a serial would.
And I only ask because I like to laugh, and I love a book that makes you laugh. Like, that's hard to find. Sometimes, like, books just don't tell a funny joke. Like, I remember laughing when I read Harry Potter. I remember laughing in some of my other books I've read recently. Like, oh, that was funny. Keep reading. But not slapstick sitcom.
I don't know.
Princess Bride, wasn't that a book?
It was a book, yes.
But not a sitcom. It was a movie.
No.
But I'd watch it if it was a sitcom. That would be funny.
Be interesting.
Why do they call it sitcom?
Situational comedy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a situation, and all the comedy revolves around.
It's usually
The
filmed in
situation.
front of a live
yeah.
audience as
yeah.
well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, actually, I think all sitcoms are.
I don't think they all
Not
are,
all of
because
them.
sometimes they had a pre-recorded laugh track and stuff like that too. But
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, that's-
some of it's free.
oh yeah,
Some of it's
cringy.
pre-recorded, and some of the scenes are filmed in front of a live audience. It just really depends, I guess.
yeah.
Especially the scene.
But like, what's the one that's got all the families? That was on ABC forever.
Modern Family.
Modern Family.
Modern
That's
Family.
not recorded in front of an audience.
Oh no,
Right.
they spend a lot of that time outside. I would say, okay, so like a formulaic show where they have to, like, where the family usually like hangs out in a living room.
Right. Yeah.
That would be filmed in front of a live audience.
Yeah.
Right, where
The
they have
living
like
room.
four
Like,
different
A
sets.
limited
Yeah.
set.
Yeah.
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 Like
Fresh
Home
Prince,
Improvement.
Home Improvement. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because they had the outdoor set with
Mm-hmm.
The
Wilson,
Roseanne.
and then they had the
Roseanne
inside
Barr,
the house
yeah.
or whatever, and then the Tool Time.
Home
Yeah.
Improvement.
Home
Yeah,
Improvement.
Home
Yeah.
Improvement.
Oh, his TV set.
No,
Yeah,
I
I
did
was
love
like
that
the
show.
song.
I did like that show a lot. I liked that show.
Oh yeah, that was
was a good
one
show.
that my mom really liked.
It was
growing up,
well.
watched.
It was clean. There
Well,
weren't a lot of dirty
And
jokes.
he was the person who made the idiotic mistakes.
Yes.
yeah,
So-
he was. Yeah,
and he was
he
the hero.
learned from his lessons.
He did.
and became the
And
hero.
his family didn't really disparage him as much as kind of roll their eyes at him and go,
Mhm.
"Okay,
Here we go
Tim."
again. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
What
so
are you gonna blow
it
up
was,
this
It
time?
was. It was a clean show, and it was. He wasn't a bad guy. He wasn't doing anything bad. He wasn't evil. Nobody else was
He
trying
wasn't
to hurt
taking
him.
advantage of people. He was just trying to make the world better.
Right.
But
Yeah.
he was kind of a ding dong.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did like that one. I did. Yeah.
see, Full House. That was filmed in front of a live audience. I think, yeah, because they just hung out in the house.
And that one had lots of ding dongs. And they were all like
they were.
numbskulls. Every single one of them.
And
Except for DJ and Stephanie.
I
Saved by the
couldn't,
Bell.
I couldn't watch that one. Oh, not that one. The
Yeah,
Full
that
House.
one's really hokey. Like, even now, I'm like, ooh, like when I go back and watch it, I'm like,
Mhm.
oh God, this is terrible. But, I was like 12, so it was perfect.
What was the show with Urkel on it?
Family
Oh,
Matters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And another limited set live audience. Yeah. Oh, and the one Growing Pains.
Is that the one with Alan Thicke?
Yes.
Yes, I did watch that one. I like that one. Again, there was nobody really bad on that show or really trying to hurt anyone. It was always like miscommunication mistakes.
Yeah.
Somebody misunderstood something. They didn't communicate properly, whatever. And so it was a lot of silliness like that. But it was a good show because they were,
There's a moral.
there was always a moral to the story.
Yeah,
there
that's
was.
one thing
Yeah.
about Married with Children. There was never really like a moral.
Yeah,
lesson
they were
learned at
just
the
like
end.
gross people.
Yeah.
You know, there's like those kind of sitcoms, and then there's like the Growing Pains,
Yeah.
Full House moral of the story.
Clean story with morals
Well,
and
okay,
and then-
so
and then
Married
there's-
with Children is for adults, and Growing Pains was for like family.
Teens and
Family,
families.
yeah. Yeah, I think that's really the difference. It's just that we grew up watching it also. But I mean, she was like smoking and like adjusting her boobs, and they were always
Yeah.
talking about inappropriate stuff.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anything
Yeah.
else? Any other shows y'all can think of right offhand?
No.
No, I'm done abusing the sitcoms.
Yeah.
You said this was abuse in sitcoms, not
Abuse
abusing
of sitcoms. There we go.
abusing sitcoms.
Well, I would like to know if anyone, any of our listeners, have any comments. Did you have a particular favorite or anti-favorite sitcom, one that you hated or loved to hate, or however you want to word it? Were there any characters that you really disliked and why? We'd like to hear from you. Check us out on the blog. Check us out on the MMC chat, our little chat group that goes with Facebook. And you'll find all those links right there on our website, modernmusings.net. And we'd like to hear from you. Give us some, if you like this episode, give us a thumbs up, give us a rating, give us some likes, give us some love, share us with your friends.
Definitely.
And we will be back next week with Amber.
Oh yeah, we're going to be talking about dream travel destinations.
Ooh.
So get on your nice fantasy traveling and come talk with us about that.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that. All right. So we'll be back next week with another podcast. We hope you'll join us then. And until then, let's give a shout out to Creative Audio Tech for our music and Cake Mix Studios for our equipment. And we will be back next week.
Bye.
Bye.